Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, December the 18th. Quite an active weather pattern across the nation over the next week to 10 days or so. It will include some very cold air masses, for example, into the mid-Atlantic region and northeast U.S. The coldest air of the season so far will pour in later this weekend into the early part of next week. Probably the lowest temperature so far in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City will take place early Monday morning, perhaps as low as 10 degrees or so in some of the suburbs north and west of Philadelphia, and even D.C. and New York City as well. Again, a very cold air mass comes in later this weekend into the early part of next week into the northeastern part of the nation, and that will follow a combination of a clipper system on Friday and an ocean storm that will intensify over the western Atlantic during the day on Friday. Could produce some snow, even some accumulating snow across much of Pennsylvania, interior New Jersey, New York City, let's say from later Friday into Friday night into early Saturday. I'm talking on the order of a coating to a 2 or 3 inches or so for the most part, probably confined to just snow shower activity down across the D.C. metro region. Other parts of the nation that will receive some impressive snow over the next 10 days, certainly the northern plains, the portions of the upper Midwest, and upstate Pennsylvania, New York, interior New England, all getting substantial snowfall over the next 10 days. In the winter, looks like it'll be those higher elevation locations in the Pacific Northwest, southwestern Canada as well. Here we go. This is a forecast map for the next 10 days between now and Saturday, December 28th. As usual, some substantial snowfall amounts over the Sierra Nevada mountains, eastern California. And boy, those cascades up across Oregon, Washington, and all the way into southwestern Canada, just getting pummeled by storm after storm. We talked about kind of an atmospheric river with Pacific moisture pouring into the Pacific Northwest, southwest part of Canada over the next week to 10 days or so, with significant rainfall, lower lying areas, and substantial snow in those higher elevation locations, certainly on the order of many, many feet over the next 10 days. You can kind of see a storm track right here, too, showing up. And indeed, this is going to lay down quite a decent snowpack here over the next 10 days or so. Northern plains, upper part of the Midwest, cutting across the interior sections of the mid-Atlantic, let's say from northern Pennsylvania up across upstate New York, and certainly higher elevation interior locations of New England as well. Some significant snowfall over the next 7 to 10 days or so. Now here's a forecast map for the liquid equivalent precipitation over that same 10-day period between now and Saturday, December 28th. When I say liquid equivalent precipitation, that means if you get several feet of snow and you melt that snow, this is the amount of water that should show up, and so significant amounts here over the next 10 days across the Pacific Northwest all the way down into Northern California. Some of these colors here represent a foot or more of liquid equivalent precipitation. Of course, a lot of this will fall in the form of snow over the Cascade Mountains, for example, but this is the excessive precipitation amounts over the next 10 days. Quite a bit of precipitation also across much of the eastern half of the nation. Certainly some of this will be in the form of snow, especially across interior higher elevation locations of the mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. And all of this likely in the form of snow from the southwestern part of Canada across the northern plains into the upper part of the Midwest. Again, this is over the next 10 days from the 0Z GFS model run. Now let's kind of break down the GFS model run from last night. First, we'll look at 850 millibar height anomalies, and then 850 millibar temperature anomalies, and finally we'll end up with the surface maps. And about a week ago we started talking about the possibility of a strong storm system near the eastern seaboard late this week, early this week, and in that 20th, 21st time period, Friday and Saturday. Indeed, there will be strong storm system. It'll be a couple hundred miles off the East Coast, but it can combine with this clipper moving in from the north and west to produce some accumulating snow across at least the northern mid-Atlantic region Friday night, early Saturday time frame. Again, I'm thinking on the order of maybe a coating to 2 or 3 inches or so across much of Pennsylvania, interior New Jersey, New York City, and north and east of there. Let's look at the 500 millibar pattern here. We'll talk about kind of the subtleties involved here. First of all, we're going through next couple of days. By the way, there's a rain event later today into tonight in much of the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. And here we go. By the time we get to Friday morning, we'll have that clipper system moving to the south and east across the Great Lakes, and at the same time, low pressure will start to form over the southwestern Atlantic Ocean and intensifying a deepening upper-level trough. Now, here we go. By Friday evening, quite an impressive upper-level trough situated right over the northern part of the Carolinas and southern part of Virginia on Friday evening. Go out a little farther in time and just notice kind of this little extension back here, kind of a trough moving back from where the surface low will be, somewhere off the coast. There will be an inverted trough kind of from the surface center of that low pressure over the western Atlantic back to the coastline here. And it even shows up here at the 500 millibar level with kind of a movement back of that upper level trough. We'll go out a little farther in time, and that tends to intensify here by the time we get to early Saturday morning. Again, kind of an inverted trough that originates over the center of that surface low pressure area, but then backs all the way into the coastal region. This is what we call an inverted trough. Sometimes it's referred to as a Norlund trough, and exactly where that sets up will dictate where some of the best snows may be late Friday night into early Saturday. But again, I'm thinking the northern mid-Atlantic region certainly is in store for some accumulating snow later Friday night into early Saturday. Probably just snow shower activity Friday night across the D.C. metro region here. Now let's go a little farther in time, and that whole system moves to the north and east. Here we go by Saturday night. A strong low pressure over the northwestern Atlantic Ocean, and it is at this time that the coldest air mass of the season so far will pour into the mid-Atlantic northeast U.S., riding in on strong northwest winds. And certainly Sunday, very likely to be the coldest day of the season so far in terms of those high temperatures, likely in the 20s across even much of the I-95 corridor region. Then Monday morning, probably the lowest temperature so far. Places like D.C. suburbs can get down to the lower teens, maybe even a few upper single digits. Near 10 degrees in many of the suburbs of Philadelphia by early Monday morning, and similarly cold conditions up across those northern western suburbs of New York City, again by late Sunday night, early Monday morning. Well, let's walk through the 850 millibar temperature anomalies, and we'll kind of see that cold air mass moving into the northeast by the latter part of the weekend. Here we go into the day on Thursday, and then finally Friday morning at this time. We have that clipper system dropping to the south and east, and low pressures forming over the southwestern Atlantic at this time. And then we go into Friday evening. Colder than normal air crossing over the Great Lakes region, way down into the deep south here, the Carolinas, down across the southern part of the Tennessee Valley. And then by the time we get to Saturday morning, this is when the cold really hits. And later Saturday into Saturday night, and certainly through the day on Sunday into Monday across the mid-Atlantic, the northeast U.S. Again, the coldest air mass of the season so far. And here we go by the time we get to Saturday night. There'll be kind of secondary and even a third kind of a frontal system ushering in this increasingly colder air late Friday night into the weekend, so that the coldest air reaches the I-95 corridor region, let's say Saturday night, Sunday night, into Monday morning. We go all the way into Sunday, coldest day of the season so far, mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S., with the lowest high temperatures of the season so far. And then finally, by Monday morning, right here, This will probably present the lowest temperatures of the season so far. Again, many of the suburbs north and west of the big cities early Monday morning could be anywhere from the upper single digits to the lower teens north and west of D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps. Again, we have another rain event coming to the much of the Middle Atlantic region later today into tonight across the upstate of New York, interior New England. Certainly, this system can bring some accumulating snow. I don't think a major event, however. And a cold front slides through, slightly colder on Thursday, but that's not the big change to cold. That comes over the weekend. And here we go. By the time we get into Friday morning, and we have a couple systems here. Here is that Clipper system that driving to the south and east really started off in the places like Alberta, Canada. That's why we call these Alberta Clippers. Drop into the south and east. Now notice, all along this trek, very little moisture. There's no ocean to tap into. There's only the Great Lakes in terms of providing moisture for a clipper type of system. So it does have a limitation as to the amount of moisture that will be associated with that clipper. But at the same time, we have low pressure starting to intensify over the southwestern Atlantic. So these two systems will tend to link up in some form or another here. Now we go into the day on Friday. This is midday. So again, we have low pressure over the western Atlantic, kind of a weakening clipper system over the eastern Great Lakes. And notice snow breaking out here. Again, limited moisture, but limited moisture is one thing. We do have impressive dynamics. By that I mean strong upper motion with that upper level low situated over the southern Mid-Atlantic, at least for a while, later Friday night. And that can more than compensate for a limited moisture field here. In other words, strong upper motion can squeeze out some moisture in the atmosphere. So snow breaks out here during the day, maybe south of the Mason-Dixon line. It'll start off as a mix of snow and rain, but then even there, anything that falls Friday night, let's say across D.C., probably in the form of snow showers. And this is where I think we could have some accumulations later Friday into Friday night, right here into early Saturday. Again, on the order of a coating to 2 or 3 inches, let's say, across much of PA, interior New Jersey, New York City. And this storm system really intensifies. We'll have to watch this area. The heaviest precipitation, the heaviest snow, appears to be just off the coast of Maine, let's say, by early Saturday morning, but it's a close call. That could back up a little bit to the north and west and produce decent snowfall, Cape Cod to down east Maine here. Again, late Friday night into early Saturday. Go out a little farther in time. Still some snow here. Again, some signs of this kind of trough hanging all the way back to the coast by early Saturday morning. Now, this is when real cold air starts to pour in later Saturday into Saturday night. I'm talking about into the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S. right here. If you're going to the Penn State game at noon on Saturday, bring some blankets. It will be windy and cold, probably temperatures holding in the 20s, maybe a snow shower or two, and wind chills much lower than the actual air temperatures. Then we go into the day on Sunday morning. Very cold air, anchored by strong high pressure over the southeastern part of Canada. The coldest day of the year so far, and the lowest temperatures likely to be right here Monday morning, with this high still situated over southeastern Canada. Very cold air, waking up on Monday morning. Again, some of the lowest temperatures so far, maybe within a few degrees of 10 in many of those northern and western suburbs along the I-95 corridor region. Does moderate slowly early to middle part of next week. Of course, we have Christmas Day next Wednesday. There will be moderation in temperatures in the eastern U.S., and we'll have to perhaps watch out for low pressure that could bring some snow, sleet, or rain to the Mid-Atlantic region by Christmas Day, give or take 12 hours or so. So a lot going on here, and possibility of some accumulating snow Friday night, northern Mid-Atlantic, all to be followed by the coldest air mass yet for the latter part of the weekend into the early part of next week in the northeastern part of the nation. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.